If you're thinking about buying a home in Australia this year, whether it's your first home, your next property, or your forever home, the process can feel confusing, overwhelming, and just downright stressful. There are so many things to consider. Saving for a deposit, government schemes, borrowing power, lenders, interest rates, loan types, and it's a huge financial decision, often the biggest one most people make in their lives. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I would do if I were buying a house in Australia today with these 7 steps. No fluff, just a simple realistic process that actually works. Let's get straight into it. Step 1. Get your finances ready. The very first thing I'd do is get really clear on my financial position. Before I even open realestate.com, I want to know exactly where I stand. That means sitting down and figuring out things like, how much deposit can I realistically save? For example, if you're looking at an $800,000 property, a 5% deposit is $40,000. A 10% deposit is $80,000. A 20% deposit is $160,000. If you go with less than 20%, you'll usually have to pay lender's mortgage insurance, which can easily be tens of thousands of dollars added onto your loan. Sometimes it makes sense to accept lender's mortgage insurance to get in earlier, and sometimes it doesn't. But you should at least understand what trade-off you're making. Next, I'd look at all the ongoing costs of owning a home, not just a mortgage. A lot of first home buyers get too excited and forget this part. So things like council rates, water and utilities, home and contents insurance, maintenance and repairs, strata fees if it's an apartment, unit or townhouse. For example, even a fairly normal house might cost you several $1,000s a year in rates, insurance, and maintenance before you even talk about the mortgage. Then I would build a realistic budget around repayments, not the maximum the bank might lend me number. I mean, what can I comfortably afford while still living my life, saving and not stressing every month. For example, let's say your household brings in $10,000 per month after tax. Just because the bank might approve you for repayments of $5,000 a month doesn't automatically mean that's a good idea. That would mean half your take-home pay is locked into the mortgage before you even think about food, bills, childcare, transport, insurance, or actually enjoying your life. A more comfortable and sustainable approach might be something like $3,000 to $3,500 per month for the mortgage. That way, you still have breathing room to handle unexpected expenses like rates going up or your car breaks down. Keep saving and investing and not feel financially trapped in your own home. In other words, don't ask what the maximum the bank will lend me. Ask what's the amount I can repay and still sleep well at night. This initial planning step isn't exciting, but it's foundational. It gives you a clear price range, real confidence when you start looking, and it stops you from making emotional decisions that lock you into years of financial stress. Think of this as setting your difficulty level before you start the game. Step 2. Know the government schemes available. These days, there are a few government schemes that can make a huge difference to how quickly you can buy your first home and how much you need up front. For many first home buyers, these schemes could literally be the difference between buying now or waiting years longer to save a bigger deposit. The problem is, most people don't realize these schemes exist, don't know if they qualify, or assume they won't and never even check. That could be an expensive mistake. Here are the 3 main ones you should know about. 1. First Home Owner Grant. The First Home Owner Grant is a cash grant from the state government to help first home buyers. Here are some key things to know. It's usually only for new or newly built homes, not established properties. The amount varies by state. It's often around $10,000 or more, depending on where you live. I'll link this website in the description below that breaks down the First Home Owner Grant and eligibility rules for each state so you can check exactly what applies to you. This grant can be used to help boost your deposit or cover stamp duty and other upfront costs. For example, if you're buying or building a new home and your state offers a $10,000 grant, that's $10,000 less you need to save yourself. It's not life-changing on its own, but it absolutely helps you get over the line sooner. 2. First Home Guarantee or the 5% deposit scheme. This scheme allows eligible first home buyers to buy a home with as little as 5% deposit without paying lender's mortgage insurance. As we discussed before, normally if you have less than 20% deposit, you will have to pay lender's mortgage insurance. This can easily cost $20,000 to $30,000 plus on an average property. Under this scheme, you only need a 5% deposit. The government guarantees the rest up to 20%, and you avoid lender's mortgage insurance completely. For example, on an $800,000 property, so you can start with $40,000 instead of needing $160,000, and you avoid tens of thousands of dollars in lender's mortgage insurance. That's a massive shortcut in the market. I'll leave a link below to this website if you want to learn more. 3. Help to Buy scheme or the share equity scheme. This one is a bit different. Under the Help to Buy scheme, the Australian government buys part of the property with you. You still live in the home and own it, but the government owns a percentage alongside you. Here's how it works. You need a minimum 2% deposit. You get a loan from a participating lender. The government contributes up to 30% for an existing home and up to 40% for a new home. Because the government covers part of the price, you need a smaller deposit, borrow less, have lower repayments, and can often buy sooner. For example, on an $800,000 home, you might put in $16,000, borrow $544,000, and the government contributes $240,000. You only repay the $544,000 loan. The government owns 30% of the property. Later, you can buy back their share or repay it when you sell, based on the value of the home at the time, not the original price. It's not free money, but it can dramatically lower the barrier to entry and help you buy much sooner. Once again, I'll link the official site below so you can check your eligibility and details for your situation. These schemes can make a huge difference to how much you need to save and how quickly you can get into the market, but it's important to look at them carefully. Please note, just because you're eligible doesn't automatically mean they're the best option for you. In some situations, using a scheme can come with trade-offs that might not suit your long-term plans or personal circumstances. That's why getting proper guidance early really matters. Speaking to the right experts can help you understand which schemes you actually qualify for, how they work in your specific situation, or whether they genuinely help you or just look good on paper. And that leads me to step 3, speak to a mortgage broker early. If I were buying a house this year, the very next thing I'd do early in the process is speak to a mortgage broker, not just a bank. A good broker helps you with things like understanding your borrowing power, how much you can afford to borrow comfortably, navigating different loan types and interest rate structures, checking all government schemes you might qualify for, structuring your loan in a way that fits your lifestyle and long-term goals, saving you time and effort by comparing hundreds of home loan options instead of just one. This is why I would personally work with a mortgage broker like Alcove Mortgage Brokers, because they compare the whole market for you, not just one bank. They help you understand what you can afford, which loans make sense for your long-term plan, and they handle a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And the best part is, it doesn't cost you anything. The lenders pay the broker, not you. If you want to talk to them as part of your planning, I've left a link in the description and pinned comment where you can book a free meeting with them, even if you just want a pre-approval chat or to understand your options before you start house hunting. Step 4, get a pre-approval. Before you start house hunting, one of the most common and costly mistakes buyers make is falling in love with properties before they actually know how much they can borrow. It's a fast way to waste time, get emotionally attached, and then end up disappointed when you realize the numbers don't work. Getting pre-approval, sometimes called conditional approval, means a lender has looked at your finances and said, yes, we could lend you this amount. Pre-approval does 2 major things. 1, it gives you a clear and realistic budget. You know exactly what price range to look in, which stops you from overreaching or underestimating what you can afford. It also makes your property search way more focused and less stressful. And 2, it shows agents and sellers that you're a serious buyer. When you make an offer with pre-approval in place, you're not just someone thinking about it. You're someone who can actually move forward. In competitive markets, this can genuinely make your offer more attractive than someone who hasn't sorted their finance yet. 3, it helps you move quickly when the right property comes up. Good properties don't always sit around waiting. If you already have pre-approval, you're in a position to make confident decisions instead of scrambling to organize finance at the last minute. And 4, it helps avoid nasty surprises later in the process. You're far less likely to sign a contract and then realize the bank won't lend you what you thought they would. This step is especially important in hot or fast moving markets where being organized and ready to go can be the difference between getting the property and missing out. Step 5, set a realistic search criteria. Now it's time for the fun part, figuring out what and where you actually want to buy. This is where your budget and pre-approval keep you grounded, so you don't fall in love with places that aren't realistic. When you're searching, think about your lifestyle priorities. Schools, transport, shops, your long-term plan. Is this a 3 to 5 year home or something longer? The type of property you want? Is it a house or a townhouse or a unit? The balance between growth potential and value for money. A really helpful exercise is to write down 2 lists. 1, non-negotiables, which are the must-haves. 2, nice-to-haves, so things that you can compromise on. For example, being close to work might be a must-have, while a second bathroom might be a nice-to-have. This keeps you focused, avoids emotional decisions, and makes the whole buying process much easier and less stressful. Step 6, make an offer and get loan documents sorted. Once you've found a property you love, things start moving pretty quickly. This is the stage where you'll make an offer, often with conditions like building and pest inspections, or subject to finance. Confirm your loan application with your lender or broker. Provide any remaining documents needed for formal approval. And your lender will usually organize a valuation to make sure the property is worth what you're paying. This part can feel stressful because there are a lot of moving pieces and deadlines. It's also where having a good broker like Alcove makes a big difference. They help coordinate between you, the bank, and the agent, make sure nothing falls through the cracks, and guide you through exactly what needs to be done and when. Instead of guessing or chasing the bank yourself, you've got someone keeping the whole process on track, which is especially valuable when you're making one of the biggest purchases of your life. Step 7, settlement and moving in. Once the seller accepts your offer and the contracts are signed, the process moves into the final stage, Settlement. Settlement day is the official day you take ownership of the property and get the keys. In the lead up to settlement, your broker and conveyancer handle most of the behind the scenes work. They coordinate with the lender and the seller's team and make sure all the money and documents are in the right place. If you're new to this, a conveyancer is a legal professional you hire who handles all the property paperwork, checks that the title is clean, and makes sure the ownership transfer and settlement happen properly. They usually cost around $1,000 to $2,000, depending on the state and the complexity of the purchase, but they're absolutely worth it. Think of your conveyancer as the person who makes sure you don't accidentally buy a legal headache. Your broker works with your lender to make sure the loan funds are ready, while your conveyancer handles the legal side of the transaction. Once settlement is complete, the agent will contact you and you can finally pick up the keys. After that, it's time to move in, get set up, and start the next chapter of your life. And from here on, every repayment you make is slowly building equity into your own home instead of paying someone else's mortgage. Congratulations and enjoy. And quick disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Investing does carry risks, so please always do your own research before making any decisions. By the way, if you're enjoying this video and you made it this far, comment the words future homeowner down below so I know who you are. And if you're new around here, what are you waiting for, mate? Hit that subscribe button and join this awesome community of like-minded people who are all trying to level up their life. Also, make sure you're following me on Instagram and X, where I post heaps more lighthearted and sometimes funny finance content. And if you want to go a bit deeper, you can sign up to my free email newsletter, Aussie Money Club, where once a week I'll send you some money tips, major news in the market, or any cool live updates from me. And if you want to learn how to invest in the stock market instead this year, check out this video on screen where I'll show you a step-by-step guide on how to start investing in Australia as a beginner. And as always, thank you for watching, I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.